Yeah. Wait, should we record this? Because I saw this on my feed and I was going to leave a comment and I saw your comment on it. And then I
Yeah.
didn't even end up leaving my comment.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay.
Okay. When you start your business, no one ever prepares you for what's in store. So finding someone else who just gets it is sometimes the thing that can keep you pushing towards those big vision board business goals.
We're turning our Zoom coffee chats into a weekly, unfiltered podcast for online business owners. There were so many good ones, we always wanted to record them and repurpose them for content anyways. And that's on being a social media manager.
I'm Jessica Sheehy.
And I'm Madeline Daigan. And this is
hashtag
managed. I think it's perfect.
I like it. I like it.
Welcome back to this week's hashtag manage. We are going to dive into part 2 of our Super Bowl commercial recap, but let's first start off by diving in with our segments. So I guess I will kick us off with our weekly report. So
Yeah.
this week I'm reading A Not So Meet Cute by Megan Quinn. Full transparency, I actually already devoured, like I just finished it. I listened to it on the way to Indy. I was laughing out loud. So good, especially if you're like in the mood for a romance novel this time of year. Then I'm eating Girl Scout cookies. It is officially Girl Scout season. I'm playing Are You a Charlotte, which is a podcast by
Ooh.
Kristen. Now I'm drawing a blank on her last name, but she plays Charlotte in Sex and the City. I'm obsessing over Swig drinks. If you know, you know, but Charleston doesn't have a Swig, but Indy does. And I'm trying to get as many as I can before I leave. And then I'm recommending that you drink water before your caffeine intake. How so little
How timely. How
yeah.
timely after your
And then I'm treating myself. I'm actually switching this out. So I just treated myself to Lululemon's new what is I'm wearing it currently, but they're these work pants. Like they look like work pants, but they are so comfortable. I'm drawing a blank
Mm,
on the name,
yeah.
but I
Yeah.
will be sure to link it in the newsletter for you guys. But just know if you work from home, you need a pair of these.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, definitely drop that link because I feel like unfortunately anything Lululemon I have to buy, but also I need like comfy work pants. But
I'm like,
I love that. Okay. And I'm super jealous that you are near a Swig because I didn't realize that Indy had Swig. So, anyway, going into my weekly report, I am reading. I think I recommended or treated myself or something to this, but I'm currently reading Identity Marketing by Veronica Romney, who in my opinion, she's a podcast host, marketer. She's an ex-client. I feel like disclaimer to say that, but how freaking cool that I'm literally holding her book. Like it's a hard copy, flipping through the pages. And you guys know me, you know I'm a Kindle girly, but I'm like, you know what? I need like a physical copy of this book. I am adding this. I'm probably 40% through the book and I received it in the mail 2 days ago. So I can't put it down. I'm putting it on my top 5 list of books marketers need to
oh,
read. What the other 4 are, I'll actually probably work on putting this together as a post, but I'm recommending it to any marketer. I'm currently eating. I feel like lately there's like a big baking trend in my eating category, which is totally fine. But I'm making these homemade Reese's cups, which I feel like I'm kind of like, again, in a homemade no bake baking era. So
mm-hmm.
they're really good. I'll have that recipe linked if you guys want to link it. I think it's healthy ish. I'll put ish on it. I'm currently playing Younger as recommended from Maddie, and I have to say I really like it. I first started it and I was like, "Where the heck is this going?" But I really, really, really like it so far, and I know I have many of seasons to catch up, so I probably will be playing that for a while. Obsessing over, I attended my first second Sunday here in Charleston. Obviously, I will have to go to one with Maddie by my side, but that's okay. They happen monthly. But
Mhm.
it was so fun, and I got a couple of like prints from a few like local artists because I have not hung up any art in our new house or like photos or anything yet. Honestly, that takes me the longest time to do, but when I do finally get it hung up, I will take pictures and we can
Mhm.
share it. Because I think these artists are so talented. I am recommending I have a link to it, but it's very, very simple, but it's an LED, like, facial massager. It's basically like a massager meets gua sha meets LED light. And so anyway, I think it's really, really easy thing to kind of add to your routine, and I am treating myself to renting and unpausing my Nuuly, and I probably need to keep it unpaused most of the year. But I don't know. Oftentimes I do it like once a quarter. Um, but anyway, that is my weekly report.
I love that. Okay, let's now dive into our water cooler. Love that. Okay, let's now dive into our water cooler.
Join us at the water cooler.
Let's hear a question from one of our listeners and see how we can help. Does anyone here manage LinkedIn for their clients? How do you effectively leverage it to generate leads? Would you recommend using LinkedIn ads or subscribing to LinkedIn Premium? My clients and I are exploring ways to expand their fashion styling services. We've been consistently posting weekly and reaching out to potential clients on LinkedIn, but we haven't seen any leads so far. Do you have any tips or strategies we can use to improve her visibility and attract clients? I love this is a good one this week. We haven't talked about LinkedIn
Mhm.
for a hot minute. And also how
Yeah.
fun to
Yeah.
have a client who does, um,
I was thinking the same thing.
fashion styling
Styling?
services.
Yeah.
I'm like,
So fun.
I want her services,
I know, right? That's
personally.
exactly what I'm thinking. I'm like, can she connect or you connect, via her account to Maddie and I on LinkedIn? So if you're listening, then definitely, definitely, definitely. I think with LinkedIn, the one thing that is so true about this platform is that it is still very underutilized
Mhm.
as a marketing platform compared to like Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, Facebook, even because people are on LinkedIn and people are searching for content on LinkedIn and connecting with people and growing their own networks. And again, by that might be finding clients for their own businesses. But just by posting, look, I know they mentioned that they're posting weekly, but I would really look at like how much are you posting? Get super active. This might be like a hot take, but I would treat LinkedIn two ways. Treat it in the longer form content like you would like on your email list, on a blog, maybe a long Instagram caption that you would write, and also treat it like Twitter back in the day where
Mm,
you're
mhm.
reposting with your thoughts, I'm just top of mind, right, is Grammys or even Super Bowl fashion, like celebs that came to the Super Bowl that like, celebs or wags or anyone who's like wearing really nice outfits, repost that content because NFL is probably posting that, the teams are posting that, um, you know, Elle or Vogue, like again, maybe they're not posting Super Bowl fashion, but they're posting things like repost and share your thoughts as a stylist to share with me, little old me, who's like an entrepreneur who would want to hire you for your services, but I feel like those styles and those fashions aren't attainable for me. Like, help me see that like bridge. So, I think just posting more, treating it like longer form content, treating it like a Twitter, like reposting, and just being visible, because that's where I feel like already you're becoming way more visible than anyone else on the platform because people are not
Mhm.
using LinkedIn to its full capacity. The other thing that I think that in my last like little piece of advice from experience with LinkedIn is if if this is really going to become like a lead tool for your client, like a main channel for them to get leads, definitely pay for LinkedIn Premium because there's
Mhm.
so many features that I think outweigh the cost of LinkedIn Premium. And my second point to that is with LinkedIn Premium, you get a lot of features for connecting with other people and connect with people intentionally. Connect with people who would become clients or connect with people who maybe connect with people who own clothing brands or boutiques or something that could supply, the styles for your clientele. Like, think about how you can really connect and like cast a net to like actually build your network because that's what LinkedIn's for. Like, I think oftentimes people look at LinkedIn as like, oh, I'm going to go connect with 100 people and I might get a client from it. Well, if you're just going out and just sending connect, 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 like, why would anyone want to connect with you? Like, send a message with that connection. Hey, I'm Jessica. I'm a fashion stylist and I work with entrepreneurs just like you. I'd love to know, I don't know, what are you, what do you need to be styled for? Do you have, I just saw photos on your website. You updated your website photos. Do you have another brand shoot coming up? Like, do some like research and,
Mhm.
build that personal connection. And I think that's where LinkedIn can be really great.
I also feel like I also okay, before I go into my, like, rant, no notes, that's everything I would say as well, because and I do think LinkedIn ads could be fun, but to Jessica's point, finding other brands to collaborate with that you guys could make this ad feel less addy. Like that's not even a
Mhm.
word, but where it's like
Yeah, yeah.
that it's almost like Pinterest where it doesn't look or feel like an ad. Like it just naturally is in the feed and is gonna say like it's a sponsored post or something like that. Um,
Yeah.
but I feel like maybe you've written the blog post, where it's like the especially like in just the fashion industry, like being a fashion stylist is so what's the word I'm looking for? Like relevant. It's so relevant right now because I feel like
Mhm.
like from what I grew up with, like watching my parents go off to their corporate jobs and what my parents dressed in, it's changed drastically. Like
Mhm.
corporate apparel has
Yeah.
changed. Like business attire is changing. Like I just said, like I'm wearing these Lululemon pants that I know I could get away with um going out into the corporate world wearing. And like again, that's just another idea for you where it's like these brands and this can trickle into like your LinkedIn strategy could always trickle into like if you have an Instagram strategy and same with like TikTok cuz obviously like you see these like work from work from home outfits of the week type of thing. But I feel
Mhm.
like content like that honestly would thrive on LinkedIn. And maybe not that many I have
Yeah.
personally not seen content like that on LinkedIn, but I can tell you right now that is a place I actually would really consume
Mhm.
that content and
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think to that point, like be that early adopter of taking that content from these other platforms on LinkedIn. And I think that's the way to
Mhm.
go about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know like a good segue from that because I don't know what Poppy and Olipop are doing on LinkedIn, but on TikTok, they're being absolutely messy. What's on our feed this week? From trending topics to interesting conversations, here's what's been catching our attention lately. Like, I can't
Mhm.
think of another word to say for it. So, quick backstory is that Poppy sent out vending machines to influencers and hot
For the
take,
Super
but
Bowl.
for the Super Bowl. they were loaned to the influencers, and supposedly it got leaked. Again, I don't know the validity of it. I didn't see an invoice. I didn't see receipts. Supposedly they're $25,000. I think Poppy's CEO has come out and said that's not actually the case. So who knows the actual monetary amount behind it. But hot take, I think it's a great marketing ploy. Like vending machines of your product, like it did what it needed to do. You send it to
Mhm.
these influencers, they posted it, and people are like, "Oh my goodness, this is crazy." And I think it's again, it's same story as a Tarte, Trippin' with Tarte. Almost said celebrity trip, but might as well be brand trip, where they spend so much money. I mean, same thing. It's just where they're putting their marketing dollars. The problem with it is, we think of Poppy and Olipop. I think Maddie, you say it best, like Pepsi versus Coca Cola, like in how they're both like in the market and they're where they stand. And I just think it's messy. I don't know if it's messy in a good way or a bad way. I think it's just way too soon. Like, as we're recording this episode, I
Mhm.
think it's so fresh. But very bold of Olipop to step in and to leave comments, like, basically taking the side of what people on TikTok are saying about Poppy and the vending machines and the spending and how they should use that money elsewhere. And I don't know. It's messy, like it's chaotic, but I don't know if it's how it's going to bode for either brand. I all I do know is great publicity. What do they say?
Yes.
No such thing as bad PR, or any PR is good PR. I don't know.
Right,
Whatever
yep.
the sayings
But
are. Like,
both,
that's what I
both.
feel like. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I completely agree, and Poppy's founder came out and, yes, she was like saying how like this misinformation about like how much they were, but she was just trying, like, she was explaining the strategy. She was like, like the Pepsi versus Coca Cola, where she's like, I wanted to capitalize on the soda moment, like, that has always been, the Super Bowl. Like, let's talk about how many, like, Pepsi, Coca-Cola. Okay, I know we didn't mention this one in, um, the preview, like, our cut to the chase, but I'm gonna bring it up here, and that is,
Mhm.
I did really like Coke's ad, and it had to do with, like, the small business and how, like, they're evolving and they understand that AI is coming about, and how, like,
Yeah.
they're still gonna be the same company, like, they're not worried about it. And I haven't seen, like, the most iconic Pepsi ad that I can think of to date was, like, when it was Britney Spears, Beyoncé, and Pink, like, seeing "We Will Rock You," like,
Mhm.
iconic.
Mhm.
Please, let's bring something like that back. But I it's giving okay, because if you've been listening to the podcast, like, we are Poppy and Olipop girls. Like, we have favorite flavors in
Mhm.
each, just like with Coke and I'm not a Pepsi drinker. Like, I don't like
Mhm.
Pepsi, but
Same.
like, I like Mr. Pibb, and I think that's like it's not
Mhm.
Coke. It's not a Coke brand. And Olipop, I will say, I'm curious to know if it was a social media manager who was going and making, like, being messy,
Mhm.
or was it the founder who got a
Mhm.
hold of it
Mhm.
and didn't
Yeah.
run it past his or her social team? Because if you're listening, I have a feeling you've had a client like that, where it's like, I didn't, like, it's like you want to take their privileges away, and you're just like, "Who gave you access to your," like, you don't have that permission, like, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
But I feel like they could have fun with it, like, it was
Mhm.
giving Olipop's comments to me, though, was giving jealousy of, like,
Yeah.
"Damn, like,
Mhm.
we don't have those funds," you know? And
Mhm.
even looking at Olipop's social, where I'm like, did they really even, um, capitalize on the game per se? Hang on, now I need to, like,
Mhm.
look at their Instagram, and it doesn't really look like they did.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to think about the 2, but again, where does, you know, Pepsi competes with Coke and Coke competes with Pepsi. It's a very known thing. So again,
Mhm.
it's not necessarily a bad thing that they're both now
Right.
competing. Now, are they specifically on the same playing fields? I really don't know. But anyway, I think there's a lot of opportunity for them to kind of take it from here. So who knows? We'll see. And
Mhm.
we'll just be along for the ride and see what happens, messy or not, on social
And we'll
media.
keep reporting back on it. Well,
Yeah, reporting live from hashtag manage.
speaking of beef, I hate to say it, but what's on my feed and has been for a while now is still the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni drama. And
Mhm.
I just seriously, I was kind of like trying to like the Poppy versus Olipop that really was on my feed, but I was just like, okay, I feel like I don't want to like get too into it because it's just like
Mhm.
it's messy. It's messy, messy, messy. I just
Mhm.
I really like the whole website that came out. Clearly, I don't have enough time in the day. I'm not about to like read all of it, like who actually
Mhm.
has time. But there were lawyers, like people like on TikTok were um basically debriefing me about everything and just it's not looking good for Blake. It's not looking good for Blake and Ryan, and, like, I hate to see it because
Yeah.
it's like I do love them, but I'm just like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
It's just,
no."
again, messy. Like,
Messy?
that's our theme of our feeds, apparently. Our For You pages are currently messy, but yeah, it's not boding well for the sequel, I have
No.
to say. So, I don't know. Again, whatever happens and, you know, whatever happens with the production of the sequel, I don't know. I just feel like it's already setting a precedence for what's gonna happen with,
Mhm.
with the next one. But it is very interesting, especially the website that Justin published and the receipts. And I haven't even looked at the website because I'm just like, I feel like I get so much content of it online and I'm just like,
Mhm.
enough. Every podcast I listen to talks about it too. So I'm just like, okay, I'll take their word for it. I'll believe that the website has all this stuff on it.
Yeah, no, it like because I did look it up and, like, it's pages upon pages,
Is
and, like,
it?
he
Oh,
yes, and
oof.
he really does have all the receipts. I'm just like, "Oh my gosh."
Mhm.
It's like yeah, just it makes me think of this reel I just saw the other day, and it was like, "Dance or your Slack messages will be leaked," and it was like
Oh,
them dancing because it's like, we're just
yeah.
like where it's like your best friend and use like
Mhm.
text message conversations. You're like, "Nope, I don't want those to be leaked at all."
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
right. Right. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. Yeah. Well, I feel like a lot of things on our feed that are pending. So we'll have to see like what happens. And yeah, very, very messy. But I feel like definitely things to kind of touch on because again, not that Poppy and Olipop is probably prevalent to all of our clients in our industries, but like it is good to see like what's happening rivalry wise, like on social
mhm.
media. And again, Justin Baldoni and Blake, like receipts don't lie. Like that is something that I think is apparent. Again, if you're a social media manager and you've had a bad client in the past, I'm sure you've got a receipt folder. I know I do.
Yeah.
So I think it's just something to always kind of keep in the back of our minds. But yeah, well, if you guys have any takes on Poppy Olipop or even Justin Blake, I don't know, maybe we'll do some like fun polls like this or that. Like you go to a coffee shop and it's like tip jar. It's like Justin Baldoni in one and Blake Lively in another one, and it's like which one has more tips.
Yeah.
Obviously they did it for like I went to one and it was a coffee shop and they were like Chiefs, Eagles, and so again, just really a really really funny thing to see that. But yeah, but that's a wrap for another episode of hashtag managed. If you missed our episode on Monday, we released early our cut to the chase Super Bowl commercials and our takes. So go back, listen to that episode, and while you're at it, if you haven't subscribed or left us a review, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, we would really love that. So shameless plug for that. And we will catch you guys next week with another episode of Hashtag Managed. And we have a guest. So be sure to stay tuned and listen to that when we come next week on the airwaves. I feel like I'm butchering Maddie's sentence about airwaves.
We will
That's
catch
why I
you
don't do the
guys.
closing.
We will catch you guys on the airwaves next week.
You could keep throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping for a 10K month, or you could actually get a game plan that works during our How to Consistently Attract Dream Clients and Build a 10K month business as a social media manager. This free webinar is your roadmap to building a profitable social media business without burnout, BS, or begging for clients. You'll learn why you're struggling to find clients, how to attract and retain dream clients, hello, consistent monthly income, how to streamline the client acquisition process. Grab your free seat now at hashtagmanage.com/10K. That's 10K. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you made it this far, I think we've officially become internet besties. You can always call into the hashtag hotline and say hello, leave a review, or ask your burning questions.
Make sure you follow, rate, and review the podcast wherever you're listening from. Subscribe to the Social Club newsletter for our weekly email, and shoot us a DM over at hashtag managed on Instagram, letting us know what your biggest takeaway was from this episode.